It was supposed to be one awkward lunch, one polite smile, and one chance to finally stop feeling alone. Instead, the moment the exhausted single father stepped into the restaurant carrying the tiny paper bag filled with crayons for his little daughter, his heart nearly stopped. Sitting at the reserved table wasn't the woman his friend had described. Sitting there, calmly reading the menu with a stunned expression that matched his own, was the one person who could change his entire future, his boss. The woman who had spent 2 years believing he barely tolerated her had unknowingly become the blind date neither of them had agreed to. In that single heartbeat, embarrassment, fear, and years of hidden misunderstandings collided, and neither of them knew that the strangest lunch of their lives would soon become the beginning of something neither thought they deserved. If you believe kindness can heal broken hearts, forgiveness can rewrite painful stories, and hope always deserves another chance, please like this video, leave a comment, share it with someone who needs encouragement today, and subscribe to our channel so our community can continue sharing emotional journeys that remind us humanity still exists. For nearly 5 years, Colton Mercer had measured time differently than everyone else. He no longer counted promotions, vacations, or weekends. He counted school mornings that began without tears, birthday cakes baked from discount ingredients, doctor appointments that ended with reassuring smiles, and afternoons when his 8-year-old daughter, Tessa, laughed so hard she forgot the emptiness left behind after losing her mother to a sudden illness. Becoming a widowed father before turning 35 had changed every dream he once carried. His own happiness quietly moved to the bottom of every list while making sure Tessa never felt abandoned became the purpose that shaped every decision. Colton worked as a senior maintenance supervisor for a historic architecture company known for restoring old landmarks across the city. The work demanded precision, patience, and impossible deadlines. His boss, Evelyn Hartley, had built the company after inheriting almost nothing except debt and an aging office building. She had earned a reputation for expecting excellence and speaking little. Employees respected her discipline but rarely understood the quiet loneliness hidden behind her composed appearance. To Colton, Evelyn seemed impossible to read. She approved projects with brief emails, corrected mistakes without emotion, and rarely smiled during meetings. Every time he requested flexible hours for Tessa's school events, she approved them without explanation. He assumed she simply followed company policy. He never realized she quietly rearranged entire project schedules herself so no one else would resent his responsibilities as a father. Outside the office, Colton's closest friend was Marissa Doyle, a cheerful project coordinator who refused to let life become too serious. She had watched him sacrifice every personal dream without complaint and believed his heart deserved another chance. After months of gentle encouragement that always ended with polite refusals, she finally convinced him to agree to one blind date. Marissa insisted her older sister was thoughtful, independent, and understood complicated lives. She arranged a lunchtime meeting at a quiet restaurant near the river because she knew evenings were impossible for Colton, who always rushed home to pick up Tessa from after-school programs. Colton almost canceled twice that morning. His shirt carried a tiny wrinkle he couldn't iron away after packing Tessa's lunch. His shoes still showed paint from yesterday's restoration project. Most importantly, guilt weighed heavily on him. He wondered whether agreeing to meet another woman somehow betrayed the memory of the wife he still missed every single day. Across town, Evelyn experienced her own confusing morning. Her younger sister had spent months insisting she needed a life beyond conference rooms and financial reports. Without revealing much, she arranged a lunch with someone she described as honest, compassionate, and devoted to family. Evelyn reluctantly accepted, believing she would meet an ordinary stranger and politely decline any second meeting. Neither sister realized they had been talking about the same two people through mutual acquaintances. When Colton reached the restaurant and spotted Evelyn sitting at the reserved table, every instinct told him to turn around. At exactly the same moment, Evelyn looked up, recognized her employee, and froze. Neither spoke for several long seconds. The restaurant hostess smiled, assuming they were simply overwhelmed by excitement, and guided Colton toward the table. Embarrassment settled over both of them like a heavy blanket. Each silently wondered whether the other believed this had been arranged intentionally. The first few minutes passed with awkward smiles, cautious conversation, and repeated apologies for circumstances neither had created. Surprisingly, once the initial shock faded, something unexpected happened. Without office walls separating them, they became ordinary people. Colton talked about restoring old buildings because preserving history reminded him that beautiful things could survive difficult years. He shared stories about helping Tessa build cardboard castles, burning pancakes every Saturday morning, and learning to braid hair by watching online tutorials because his daughter deserved to feel special before school. Evelyn listened more than she spoke. She noticed the warmth in his voice whenever Tessa's name appeared. She noticed how he thanked every server sincerely and quietly collected unused napkins because they were useful for messy art projects at home. Nothing about him resembled the guarded employee she saw during meetings. Eventually she shared pieces of herself. Her parents had worked endlessly until illness took both of them within 3 years. She inherited responsibility before she inherited confidence. Building the company demanded sacrificing friendships, relationships, holidays, and nearly every dream unrelated to work. Success arrived, but loneliness quietly followed. For the first time in years, Evelyn admitted she couldn't remember the last meal she enjoyed without checking business reports. Colton smiled gently. He told her buildings sometimes looked strongest from outside while carrying dangerous cracks within their walls. People often lived exactly the same way. The sentence stayed with her long after lunch ended. Neither considered the meeting romantic. They simply walked away feeling unexpectedly understood. Back at work, both struggled to return to normal. Colton worried coworkers would misunderstand if they learned about the accidental date. Evelyn worried maintaining professional boundaries would erase the rare honesty they had shared. Days turned into weeks. Nothing dramatic happened. Instead, tiny moments slowly changed everything. Evelyn noticed Colton quietly repairing broken office furniture nobody asked him to fix. Colton noticed Evelyn personally delivering coffee to interns working overtime instead of asking assistants. He discovered anonymous donations that helped struggling employees always appeared shortly after Evelyn reviewed financial reports. She discovered Colton secretly used vacation days to volunteer restoring community centers damaged by storms. Neither sought recognition. Both simply believed helping people mattered. Then life shifted unexpectedly. One afternoon, Tessa collapsed during a school activity after experiencing severe dehydration combined with an undiagnosed medical condition. Colton rushed to the hospital terrified, blaming himself for missing subtle symptoms. Without informing anyone, Evelyn canceled 2 executive meetings and quietly arrived carrying coloring books, snacks, and paperwork authorizing unlimited family leave with full pay. She never entered the hospital room dramatically. She simply handed the documents to the receptionist and waited nearby in case Colton needed anything. When he finally noticed her hours later, exhaustion filled his face. He couldn't understand why his boss had sacrificed an entire business day for him. She answered with simple honesty. She remembered what it felt like sitting beside hospital beds, praying someone would remind her she wasn't facing impossible moments alone. No speech could have meant more. Over the following days, Tessa recovered completely. During her stay, she met Evelyn several times. Children often see truths adults hide. Tessa never cared about titles or office hierarchies. She simply saw a kind woman who remembered her favorite crayons, laughed at silly jokes, and somehow folded paper birds better than anyone else. Before leaving the hospital, Tessa hugged Evelyn tightly. Something inside both women quietly changed. Months later, an anonymous complaint reached the company's board accusing Evelyn of showing favoritism toward Colton because of rumors surrounding their accidental blind date. The board demanded explanations. Whispers spread through every department. Colton felt devastated. He offered immediate resignation, believing leaving would protect Evelyn's reputation. Instead, she rejected the letter before reading the second paragraph. She addressed the entire board with remarkable calm. She presented documented evidence showing every accommodation granted to Colton matched policies available to every employee with caregiving responsibilities. She also revealed her own calendar, demonstrating countless personal sacrifices made for staff members across every department. Then she surprised everyone. She admitted the blind date had happened exactly as rumored. She admitted they had become friends afterward. She admitted she respected him deeply. But she refused to apologize for treating compassion as weakness. Silence filled the room. One by one, board members recognized there had been no misconduct. Only kindness. The complaint disappeared. The rumors slowly faded. Colton remained employed, though now carrying even greater admiration for Evelyn's integrity. Another year passed. Friendship slowly replaced caution. Weekend charity projects included both of them. Tessa began asking whether Evelyn would attend school art exhibitions because she always remembered to clap the loudest. Even Marissa laughed whenever she witnessed them pretending nothing had changed. She insisted destiny deserved partial credit after all. Eventually, during a sunny community festival celebrating the reopening of a restored historic library, Colton watched children racing across fresh green grass while families explored buildings he had helped preserve. He realized something profound. His late wife had taught him what unconditional love looked like. Losing her had convinced him his heart's story ended there. But grief had never asked him to stop living. It had only asked him never to forget. Remembering someone with love did not forbid loving again. That afternoon, with Tessa happily painting beside volunteers, Colton thanked Evelyn for entering their lives when neither expected it. He admitted the blind date meant far more than either of them could have imagined. It had reminded him that healing rarely arrives the way people plan. Sometimes it wears the face of the person we misunderstand most. Evelyn admitted she had spent years believing success required emotional distance. Meeting Colton and Tessa proved the opposite. The strongest leaders were willing to care openly. The happiest futures often began with uncomfortable surprises. As seasons changed, the three gradually built something beautiful together. Not because life erased old pain. Because they learned hope could exist beside cherished memories. Tessa never forgot her mother. Neither did Colton. Instead, they honored her by embracing joy whenever it appeared. Before this story comes to an end, leave a meaningful comment and tell us what touched you most. Do you believe unexpected moments can completely change someone's life, or do you think healing always takes a different path for every person? Your words may encourage someone reading the comments who is quietly carrying their own heartbreak. Years later, people still laughed whenever they heard how everything started. They expected a romantic tale filled with perfect timing. Instead, they found a story about two wounded people accidentally sharing a lunch neither wanted, discovering respect before affection, friendship before love, and compassion before commitment. The blind date had never been about finding perfection. It had been about reminding two lonely hearts that life still held beautiful surprises long after they believed their happiest chapters had already been written. Tessa grew up surrounded not by replacement memories, but by expanding love that honored the past while embracing the future. Colton learned courage sometimes means opening a heart that has every reason to stay closed. Evelyn learned that leadership becomes far more meaningful when people know they matter beyond their job titles. Together they proved that the most extraordinary beginnings often arrive disguised as ordinary afternoons, and that one unexpected seat at the right table can change an entire lifetime. If this story touched your heart, please like this video, leave a meaningful comment, share it with someone who needs hope today, and subscribe to our channel so you never miss another emotional journey. May this story remind you that even after life's deepest heartbreaks, kindness still finds a way, hope still opens new doors, and second chances often arrive when we least expect them.